Everyone, welcome back to Einstein's Eyes, our YouTube channel. I'm your co-host, Carl Rosen, oculoplastics, neuro-ophthalmology, Anchorage, Alaska. For a little over 30 years, I'm with my co-host, friend, and former co-resident at Albert Einstein College of Medicine residency program in the ophthalmology department, Jon Ditkoff. Jon?
Yeah, I'm in practice. I've been in practice now for over 30 years in northern New Jersey. And it's always nice to see Carl. We trained together, as he mentioned, over 30 years ago. It's amazing that we look so young, I know, but we have a great topic for you guys that's right up our alley. I mean, right about ophthalmology. We've been doing some other topics, but this goes into our wheelhouse.
That's right. So today we're going to talk about Stanford's Prima vision chip that restores sight. This was a study done at Stanford Medical School with Daniel Palanker. Shows a tiny implant that's planted beneath the retina, gives people with incurable vision loss the ability to see again. This isn't just light perception like older prosthetics that have been planted in the retina. This is a form vision, meaning that people can read books, they can recognize shapes, even subway signs. So let's look at this a little deeper. The device is called Prima. It's a 2x2 millimeter chip. This was at Stanford Medicine, as I mentioned. Dr. Palanker, he's the chief co-author of the paper.
I just have to comment on this picture. When I look at this picture, I say to myself, how come I did all my training in New York?
Right.
That is so gorgeous. I
It's
mean,
absolutely beautiful. I
showed where I
agree.
went to medical school and all the places I went. They're great places, but they wouldn't look nearly as pretty. That's
The device is called Prima. It's a 2x2 millimeter wireless chip implanted underneath the retina. Here's the chip underneath the retina. This is an OCT image. Now, this is the inside of the eye. This is the optic nerve. This is something called superior arcade, the inferior arcade. This area here is where the retinal RPE, or the retinal pigment epithelial cells, have died. And that's part of macular degeneration. There's two forms. There's a wet form, which is the devastating form that has new blood vessels that can bleed and abruptly change your vision, and the dry form, which is the majority, about 90%. The wet form is about 10%. And the dry form doesn't really blind you, but your vision gets really poor. And you can't drive. You still have peripheral vision because those cells are intact, but the central vision is what goes.
I would emphasize the dry type. Most of the people that have it have mild to moderate visual loss or nothing. And only about 10% of those people have significant visual loss. Like this picture, if this is dry, it might have been wet at one time, but right now it's dry. This would be someone with severe visual loss, central.
Right. Because here's the central area where most of the
Yeah.
cones are, your central vision, that's your clear vision, and they're gone. They've been destroyed. The dry form, again, accounts for 90% or 85% of people with macular degeneration, which are millions of people across the United States and the world. 30% of the dry form can get the geographic atrophy, which is where you really get much more severe vision loss within the dry form category. And then there's the wet form, which is the most severe vision loss. But 30% of the dry form get geographic atrophy, which this represents, and which is what causes people to lose navigable vision. Now, here's the implant, and here it is underneath the retina in this OCT image. This represents layers of the retina. The implant is underneath the retina. It's paired with smart glasses, a system of smart glasses. That's a camera, a processing unit. This is what it looks like. Here's your camera. Here's the implant that goes in the eye. And here's your pocket processor. The glasses capture images in real time, convert them to infrared light so that the other parts of the eye aren't confused. The other parts of the eye require visible light. So that's a really neat thing. Infrared light is invisible to the rest of the retina, which is still intact, and project that pattern onto the chip. The chip then electrically stimulates retinal neurons, doing the job that those lost photoreceptors used to do. In a clinical trial with people who lost central vision due to, as I mentioned, geographic atrophy from advanced age-related macular degeneration, 27 out of 32 regained meaningful vision after 1 year. We're talking reading ability equivalent to around 20/40 vision with digital zoom and contrast assistance, and most importantly, function over just light sensing. So the older prosthetics would just give you blobs of light or pixelated views. This gives you vision. This is a first in class. It's not just shapes, it's text. It's not perfect yet. Current versions produce black and white vision, and you need training, just like cochlear implants for hearing do, but it's working and it's a real world tool. The Stanford team already has next generation chips in the lab with smaller pixels so you can see with greater resolution. That boost in resolution will be dramatic, maybe even approaching things like face recognition. That's a quick pivot from managing vision loss to restoring vision. But if this scales, it could flip how we treat macular degeneration and similar diseases where you have retinal photoreceptor or retinal pigment epithelium loss. So for the audience, what does this mean? Well, if the tech continues to improve, we're looking at first generation of implants that actually help people see again, not just sense light. Broader message is vision restoration isn't science fiction anymore. It's happening now. It's happening at Stanford. One small chip in a pair of glasses can change the quality of your vision. Now, I do want to contrast this before we wrap up with how does Stanford's Prima, Prima, the retinal prosthesis that's implanted underneath the retina, compare to Elon Musk's Blindsight vision project? They both aim to restore vision, but the way they do it and the stage they're at are very different. So Prima is a retinal implant, meaning it sits underneath the retina, the light detecting layer of the eye, and works with augmented reality glasses to turn visual scenes into electrical stimulation of the surviving retinal neurons. It's specifically for people with diseases like macular degeneration, where the retina's photoreceptors and retinal pigment epithelium are lost, but the rest of the visual pathway is intact. That means the optic nerve is intact, some of the retina is intact, the visual cortex is intact in the back of the intracranial space, the back of the brain. Prima is basically working with the eye's existing system, existing plumbing. It lets people detect shapes and read with something close to real vision because it uses the eye's own optic nerve and visual pathway. That's real world functional vision with a prosthesis. Blindsight is different, has a different architecture. It's a brain computer interface, a neural implant that doesn't touch the eye at all. Instead of using the retina and optic nerve, it aims to bypass them completely. So you don't need an eye, you don't need an optic nerve. And it stimulates the visual cortex, the part of the brain that interprets sight, directly interprets sight, a massive difference. So people who are blind from birth or have no usable eyes or optic nerves could theoretically get a form of vision for the first time because the system doesn't depend on the eye's hardware. That's Elon Musk's Blindsight. Contrast matters. Prima is already in clinical trials with documented functional vision in patients. We mentioned that 27 out of 32. People are reading text and recognizing objects, seeing subway signs. Blindsight, on the other hand, hasn't yet demonstrated the same real-world vision in humans. I have a lot of hope for it. Elon Musk is an extraordinary person, a genius, but Musk team is targeting initial human implants soon, and the first vision is expected to deliver low resolution, Atari-like vision at best. It's visionary, but at this stage, speculative. Other contrast is Prima augments existing visual architecture, the eye, plus the optic nerve, plus the brain, which keeps the biology mostly intact. Blindsight is essentially rewiring the brain to see without eyes. So you'll have the camera that's connected to the implant bypassing the eye and optic nerve. This is orders of magnitude more complex. And Musk has also talked about superhuman capabilities like Geordi LaForge on Star Trek, seeing ultraviolet light, radar, infrared, beyond normal human limits. That's a futuristic ambition. In summary, it's fantastic, but the bottom line for our audience is Prima is real. It's a working prosthetic vision implant beneath the retina with the eye intact, already helping people see again. Blindsight is a bold cortical brain approach It could expand the definition of vision, alter its definition, but it's earlier, more experimental, and far more ambitious. That's the practical difference. John, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of excitement going on. There's another one which we'll probably do a video on later in the year, which is from USC, which is about stem cell implant. And they're already in a phase 2. They've already shown some promising results with that. The same doctor's been working that for years, where they implant stem cells into the brain, or actually into the retina, that also trigger the other retinal cells to work better. So it's shown improvement, but also importantly, is shown decreased atrophy. So it can prevent. So who knows? Maybe there'll be a combination in the future of more than one type of implant in an eye, because it would be a similar type of implant that goes into the retina and stimulates the retinal pigment epithelial cells. But
That's
it's
one.
exciting stuff. I mean, I hope to see it soon. I mean, it's promising, but it could be a long way off. We don't know.
Hope everyone enjoyed this. Please like, subscribe. And John, great seeing you again. We'll see you
Great
next week.
seeing you.